Lesson 1: Civic Vigilance in the Digital Age.
How do you stay informed about politics?
I follow a deliberate routine each day.
What is the first step you take?
I start with reputable news outlets in the morning.
Do you read more than one source?
I always consult multiple independent outlets.
How do you choose which outlets to trust?
I prefer organizations with clear editorial standards.
Do you include international coverage?
Yes, global perspectives help me see broader implications.
What comes after reading headlines?
I read full articles and primary documents when possible.
Do you verify claims you find striking?
I cross-check facts with primary sources and databases.
Which primary sources do you use?
Government reports, official statements, and legislative texts.
Do you use fact-checking organizations?
Frequently, they provide detailed evidence and context.
How do you handle social media?
I treat social media as a tip line, not a final source.
Do you follow politicians on social platforms?
I follow them to know their statements, but I verify their claims.
How do you avoid echo chambers online?
I deliberately follow diverse viewpoints and critics.
Do you consume long-form analysis?
I read in-depth pieces and policy briefs regularly.
How does that help your understanding?
It provides context, history, and potential consequences.
Do you engage with podcasts or lectures?
I listen to expert interviews and academic talks.
Do you take notes while you listen?
I take brief notes and record sources for later review.
How do you evaluate biased information?
I ask who benefits from the narrative and check incentives.
Do you discuss politics with others?
I hold structured conversations with friends and colleagues.
Are those discussions respectful?
They are civil and focused on evidence.
Do you ever attend public meetings?
I attend town halls and council sessions when possible.
How do you prepare for such meetings?
I read agendas, background materials, and prepare questions.
Do you contact elected officials?
I write concise, fact-based letters and emails.
Do you participate in civic groups?
I join nonpartisan civic organizations that research policy.
How do you manage information overload?
I set time limits and prioritize urgent issues.
Do you use tools to organize news?
I use news aggregators and bookmarking systems.
Do you keep a reading list?
Yes, with articles, reports, and recommended books.
How often do you reflect on your own biases?
I reflect weekly and seek contrary evidence deliberately.
Do you fact-check before sharing news?
I verify key claims and cite sources before sharing.
What role does civic education play?
Continuous learning about institutions and law is crucial.
Do you follow legislative developments directly?
I track bills, committee reports, and voting records.
How do you assess a politician's record?
I review voting history, sponsored bills, and public statements.
Do you trust polls without scrutiny?
I examine methodology, sample size, and margin of error.
How do you handle sensational or emotional stories?
I slow down and seek corroboration before reacting.
Do you use visual data in decision making?
I study charts and datasets for patterns and trends.
How do you check the credibility of data sources?
I prefer academic institutions and official statistics.
Do you engage with academic experts?
I read peer-reviewed research and follow scholars.
How do you stay motivated to remain informed?
I focus on civic duty and long-term consequences.
Do you mentor others in political literacy?
I teach friends and students how to evaluate information.
How do you balance local and national news?
I allocate time to both because local decisions matter.
Do you participate in advocacy or remain neutral?
I advocate on specific issues after careful research.
How do you ensure your advocacy is responsible?
I base it on evidence and transparent goals.
Do you follow campaign finance and lobbying?
I track funding sources and lobbying records for transparency.
How do you verify campaign claims?
I consult official records and independent analyses.
Do you take breaks from political news?
I take occasional breaks to preserve perspective and mental health.
How do you assess emerging narratives quickly?
I trace claims to their origin and examine early evidence.
Do you engage in policy simulations or scenario planning?
I consider multiple outcomes and their likelihoods.
How do you measure the reliability of commentators?
I evaluate their past accuracy and citation of sources.
Do you keep a personal archive of important documents?
I save crucial reports, transcripts, and data for reference.
How do you teach critical consumption to language learners?
I use clear vocabulary, step-by-step checklists, and practice exercises.
Do you recommend specific daily routines?
Yes, read trusted summaries, verify key claims, and discuss findings.
How do you use newsletters?
I subscribe to expert newsletters for curated analysis.
Do you pay for journalism?
I support quality reporting through subscriptions when possible.
How do you evaluate political advertisements?
I check funding disclosures and fact-check their claims.
Do you follow legal proceedings and court decisions?
I monitor important cases and read judgments for legal reasoning.
How do you keep abreast of election rules and changes?
I consult official electoral commission updates and legal notices.
Do you verify grassroots claims of irregularities?
I seek independent verification before drawing conclusions.
How do you handle deeply polarizing topics?
I focus on evidence, common values, and practical solutions.
Do you use visualization tools to track trends?
Yes, timelines and maps clarify developments over time.
How do you distinguish advocacy from objective reporting?
I look for explicit labels and examine language and sourcing.
Do you practice humility when uncertain?
I admit uncertainty and avoid firm judgments without evidence.
How do you keep your civic knowledge current?
I enroll in courses and attend expert briefings regularly.
What is your advice for new learners of political news?
Start with basics, learn institutional structures, and verify everything.
How do you handle misinformation from trusted acquaintances?
I engage gently, present evidence, and encourage verification.
Do you involve yourself in community workshops?
I lead workshops on media literacy and civic processes.
How do you assess the ethical dimensions of political choices?
I weigh impacts on rights, equity, and long-term public good.
Do you use timelines to understand policy development?
Timelines help trace cause and effect across events.
How do you filter urgent alerts from noise?
I prioritize official statements and verified reports.
Do you track international law and treaties?
For global issues, I read treaty texts and expert commentary.
How do you evaluate the credibility of new commentators?
I check credentials, track record, and transparency of affiliations.
Do you involve yourself in voter education efforts?
I volunteer to explain procedures and candidate positions.
How do you prepare for civic debates or panels?
I gather evidence, anticipate counterarguments, and cite sources.
What is one practical habit you recommend everyone adopt?
Verify before sharing and delay impulsive reactions.
I will follow that habit and encourage others to do the same.
Lesson 2: Tracking habits, tracking change.
Do you use any habit tracking apps?
I use a habit tracker every day.
Which app do you prefer at present?
I prefer one that is simple and elegant.
What features matter most to you?
I value reminders, streaks, and visual charts.
Do visual charts motivate you?
They show progress in a clear way.
Do streaks ever create unhealthy pressure?
They can, if one becomes obsessed.
How do you avoid obsession with streaks?
I set compassionate rules and rest days.
Do you track many habits at once?
I track a manageable number.
How many habits do you consider manageable?
5 to 8 habits feel sustainable for me.
Do you prioritize certain habits over others?
I prioritize habits that align with my values.
How do you choose those values?
I reflect on long-term goals and well-being.
Do apps help with accountability?
They help when I share progress with others.
Do you join groups or communities within apps?
I sometimes join supportive communities.
Does social pressure help or hinder progress?
It can help by offering encouragement.
Could it also induce comparison and shame?
It could, which is why I choose safe groups.
Do you prefer free or paid habit apps?
I have used both and I value paid features for depth.
Which paid features are worth the cost?
Advanced analytics and customizable reminders are useful.
Do you track habits related to learning language?
Yes, daily vocabulary practice and listening exercises.
Do timers and Pomodoro features help your learning?
They focus my sessions and increase productivity.
How do you handle missed days in the tracker?
I log honest reasons and adjust expectations.
Do you ever falsify progress to keep streaks?
I do not. Honesty maintains long-term trust with myself.
Do apps allow note-taking about habits?
The best ones allow quick reflections and context.
How important is context for habit formation?
Context reveals triggers and barriers to change.
Do you integrate habit data with health apps?
I connect steps, sleep, and mood when possible.
Does that integrated data reveal patterns?
It often shows how sleep affects productivity.
Do you use reminders or rely on routine cues?
I use both, but I prefer environmental cues for lasting change.
Can you give an example of an environmental cue?
Placing books by my bedside prompts nightly reading.
Do you gamify habits to increase engagement?
I use points and small rewards to stay motivated.
Do rewards risk undermining intrinsic motivation?
They can. I balance extrinsic rewards with internal meaning.
Do you set habit goals daily, weekly, or both?
I set both daily targets and weekly milestones.
How do you evaluate long-term progress?
I review monthly summaries and reflect on outcomes.
What metrics do you find most revealing?
Consistency rate, longest streak, and habit frequency.
Do you adjust habits based on seasons or life phases?
I adapt habits to match changing commitments.
How do you prevent burnout from too many new habits?
I phase habits in gradually and pause when needed.
Do you use reminders for habits tied to mental health?
I set gentle reminders for meditation and mood checks.
Do you track mood as a habit itself?
I log mood daily to detect trends and triggers.
Have habit apps improved your discipline?
They have strengthened my awareness and routines.
Do you ever abandon an app and return later?
I have, sometimes a fresh start resets momentum.
How do you choose a new habit app to try?
I read reviews and test the user experience briefly.
Do privacy concerns affect your choice?
Privacy is crucial. I read data policies carefully.
Are you wary of apps that sell personal data?
I avoid apps with opaque or exploitative practices.
Do you use analog habit trackers like journals?
I combine digital tools with a paper journal for reflection.
Does handwriting add value to reflection?
It deepens memory and personal accountability.
Do you set reminders for breaks and rest as habits?
I do, because recovery supports sustained progress.
How do you celebrate habit milestones?
I celebrate with simple rituals and small treats.
Do you recommend sharing milestones publicly?
Share selectively with supportive communities only.
Do apps ever distract you with notifications?
Excessive notifications can become disruptive.
How do you manage notification overload?
I customize settings and silence non-essential alerts.
Do you use habit templates for common goals?
Templates save time and provide structure for beginners.
Do you teach learners to set smart habits?
I encourage specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals.
Does the SMART framework always apply?
It is useful but sometimes overly rigid for creative habits.
How do you handle setbacks in habit formation?
I analyze causes and create contingency plans.
Do you forgive yourself for missed days?
Self-compassion is essential for persistence.
Do you recommend habit stacking?
Yes, stack a new habit onto an established routine for success.
Can you give an example of habit stacking?
Meditate after brushing teeth in the morning.
Do you track long-term lifestyle shifts or only daily tasks?
I track both micro habits and macro lifestyle goals.
How do you scale from small wins to major changes?
Accumulate consistency and reassess goals quarterly.
Do you share your habit data with a coach?
Occasionally, for accountability and expert feedback.
Do coaches help interpret habit analytics?
They help translate data into meaningful adjustments.
Have you experimented with habit anonymity for honesty?
I have kept private logs to avoid performative pressure.
Do you believe habit apps can meaningfully change society?
They can, by promoting collective well-being and productivity.
Are there controversial aspects of habit tracking?
Yes, surveillance, commercialization, and pressure to optimize life.
How do you respond to critiques of over-optimization?
I emphasize balance, ethics, and human flourishing over mere metrics.
Do you plan to continue using habit tracking apps long-term?
I plan to, while remaining mindful of boundaries and purpose.
I will explore an app with you and start a modest habit together.
Lesson 3: The Backup Imperative.
How frequently do you back up important files?
I back up my critical files every day.
Do you use multiple backup methods?
Yes, I follow the 3-2-1 rule.
Explain that rule, please.
3 copies, 2 different media, 1 offsite.
Which media do you employ?
I use an external hard drive and cloud storage.
Do you encrypt your backups?
I always encrypt sensitive data.
Which encryption methods do you trust?
I prefer modern algorithms and reputable services.
Do you automate your backups?
I schedule automated nightly backups.
Does automation remove human error?
It reduces the chance of forgetting.
Do you test your backups regularly?
I perform restoration drills monthly.
Why are restoration drills important?
They ensure backups are usable when needed.
Have you ever needed to restore from backup?
Once, after a hard drive failure.
Was the restoration successful?
Yes, because I had tested the process previously.
Do you keep versioned backups?
I keep multiple versions to recover older edits.
How long do you retain backups?
Retention depends on file importance and compliance.
Do you follow legal or regulatory standards?
For business data, I follow industry regulations.
How do you secure offsite backups?
I choose reputable cloud providers with strong security.
Do you worry about cloud provider lock-in?
I mitigate it by using interoperable formats and exports.
Do you also keep physical offsite copies?
Yes, I store an encrypted drive at a trusted location.
How do you protect backup locations physically?
I use locked safes and environmental protection.
What is your policy for mobile device backups?
I back up phones daily and enable remote wipe.
Do you back up application data and settings?
I back up configuration files and databases as well.
How do you manage backups for collaborative projects?
We use shared cloud drives with version control.
Do you train team members on backup protocols?
I provide regular training and clear documentation.
How do you handle encryption keys?
I store keys separately and use key management solutions.
Do you use multi-factor authentication for backup accounts?
Always, it adds an extra security layer.
Do you monitor backup jobs for failures?
I set alerts for any missed or failed backups.
What metrics do you track for backup health?
Success rates, completion times, and restoration tests.
Have you faced ransomware threats?
We encountered one attempted attack last year.
How did backups help in that situation?
Clean backups allowed full recovery without paying ransom.
Do you isolate backups from your main network?
Yes, backups are air-gapped or on segmented networks.
Is offline backup still relevant today?
Very much so, it prevents remote compromise.
How do you balance cost and redundancy?
I tier backups by criticality to optimize costs.
What files do you consider critical?
Financial records, legal documents, and unique work files.
Do you back up personal media like photos?
I back up irreplaceable photos and family videos.
How do you handle large datasets?
I use incremental backups and deduplication.
Do you compress backups to save space?
I compress when appropriate, mindful of restoration speed.
How long does a full restoration usually take?
It depends on data size and bandwidth for cloud restores.
Do you maintain a disaster recovery plan?
Yes, it details roles, steps, and restoration priorities.
Do you rehearse the disaster recovery plan?
Regular rehearsals expose gaps and improve readiness.
Have you documented a recovery time objective?
We set realistic recovery time and point objectives.
Do you involve stakeholders in backup policy decisions?
Stakeholder input aligns backup priorities with needs.
How do you secure backups against insider threats?
Access controls and audit logs limit and detect misuse.
Do you anonymize sensitive personal data in backups?
Where possible, we pseudonymize or encrypt personal data.
Do you use immutable storage for critical backups?
Immutable snapshots prevent tampering and deletion.
What is your approach to cloud versus local trade-offs?
Use cloud for scalability and local for fast restorations.
How do you ensure data integrity over time?
Regular checksums and verification detect corruption.
Do you maintain a backup inventory?
I catalog backups, locations, and retention schedules.
How do you decide retention periods?
Legal requirements and business value guide retention.
Do you purge backups securely when obsolete?
I follow secure deletion policies and document disposal.
How do you handle backups during personnel changes?
We update access and rotate credentials during transitions.
Do you include backups in incident response planning?
Backup strategy is central to incident response.
Do you coordinate backups across multiple jurisdictions?
Cross-border data laws require thoughtful architecture.
How do you maintain backup affordability for individuals?
Use a mix of free cloud options and affordable external drives.
What tools do you recommend for personal backups?
Reliable cloud sync services and automated local backup software.
How do you protect backups from hardware obsolescence?
Migrate data periodically to current media and formats.
Do you archive truly historic data differently?
Archives use long-term storage with clear metadata.
How do you prevent accidental deletions from propagating to backups?
Use versioned backups and retention windows to recover deleted items.
How do you convey the importance of backups to learners?
I present real cases of data loss and recovery success.
What final habit would you recommend?
Make backups automatic, test restores, and review policies regularly.
I will implement daily automated backups and monthly restoration drills.